Welcome back. This is the 58th segment in our series Because It's True, making the case for Christianity in bite-sized pieces. For someone to become a Christian, they have to decide that they want to be a disciple of Christ. You're not a Christian just because you happen to be born into a predominantly Christian culture, or because you were baptized as a baby, grew up in a church, raised your hand at some evangelistic gathering, or walked down an aisle. No, a person becomes a Christian when they realize the great love that God has for them. And that out of this love, even though they were living their life pretty much without regard for God, He died for them. That Jesus went to the cross for them. And they recognize that I need a Savior. And they look at Jesus and they go, and He's the one. And so they enter into a relationship with Him based upon the work that He did on their behalf on the cross. However, before a person becomes a Christian, they need to count the cost and see if they're willing to pay the price. Now, you may very understandably say, but wait a minute, I thought salvation was a free gift. And it is. However, someone, before they enter into a relationship with Jesus, needs to count the cost and see if they're willing to pay the price. And a great analogy is marriage. Now, I've always been single, but who knows? One of these days, someone may come along and go, I love you and I will marry you. I love you too. I think we should get married. But before I enter into that relationship, I need to sit down and count the cost and decide, am I willing to pay the price? Now, her love for me is a gift. I didn't earn it. I can't buy it. She wouldn't be that type of woman. All I can do is accept it. However, I need to sit down and count the cost and see if I'm willing to pay the price when it comes to being married, the price of commitment, communication, compromise, and a number of other things that it takes to make a marriage relationship what a marriage is supposed to be. Now, the marriage analogy works really well because Christians are understood to be the bride of Christ. And before an individual enters into that marriage, they need to sit down and decide, am I willing to pay the price, having counted the cost? I know I grew up hearing oftentimes, it costs nothing to follow Jesus. It costs you nothing to become a Christian. Well, I would respectfully challenge that. Let me tell you what it costs you. Your life. You give your life to Jesus. So, Jesus himself comes along in Luke 9, and he says, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself. There's a cost. Take up his cross daily. The cross, understood to be an instrument of death. We deny ourselves and take up our cross, meaning we deny ourselves to the point of dying to ourselves daily. Now listen, anyone who is married, if they're going to be the spouse that they need to be, they have to decide every day, am I willing to die to myself for the sake of the one that I married? If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me. That's the cost. But then he says, in order to make very clear that there is another cost to be considered, and that is the cost of not following Christ. For what does it profit a man if he gain the whole world but lose his soul? Later on in the Gospel of Luke, Jesus is going to tell a very short parable. This is in Luke 14. And he says, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, this person began to build and wasn't able to finish. I have been single all of my life, so I know what I'm talking about. Do you know one of the reasons most single people don't take marriage seriously? It's because most married people don't take marriage seriously. They don't give single people good reason to take marriage seriously. Do you know one of the reasons why most non-Christians don't take Christianity seriously? Because so many Christians don't take marriage seriously. And then Jesus continues with another parable, having pointed out that the cost needs to be considered and a decision made. Am I willing to pay the price? He says, or suppose a king is about to go to war against another king. Won't he first sit down and consider whether he is able with 10,000 men to oppose the one coming against him with 20,000? If he is not able, he will send a delegation while the other is still a long way off and will ask for terms of peace. These two parables put together has Jesus saying there is a price to be paid to follow me, but there is an even greater price to be paid not to follow me. No one is going to be able to avoid paying a price one way or the other. Everyone has to decide which price are they going to pay.